Let's just begin with the Apple's M1 launch. So Apple had a launch event that we discussed in the last episode as well. So Apple said that they are going to launch one more thing on the November 10th, and yes, they have it. They have launched the brand new category of CPUs that they promised in WWDC. They said that they are gonna get that all done by the end of this year, and they have fulfilled their promise, and it's almost the end. Talking about the M1 chipset, it was highly suspected that yes, Apple will bring, because Apple was not much expecting from Intel, and also producing the chipsets in their own production facility makes them have much more of resources and techniques to develop software so that it is much better to run. If we talk about the size of the chipset, it is just 5 nanometer and includes 16 billion transistors, which is very good on the part of Apple, because having so much of transistors is very difficult to have. And the Apple's approach of going just 5 nanometers is much better for the power saving and also for the future of what we can see for the CPUs. If we talk about the desktop CPUs, we have seen 7 nanometer process in the Zen 3 of AMD Ryzen 5000. I don't know why, but I always take that into account because they have now set a new industrial standards, and now if you want to compare a CPU, you obviously have them in your list. So if we talk about the cores and other features that it is going to bring, it has got 8 cores CPU. On the left side, if you see some diagram that's available on the Apple website as well, so it has got 8 cores, 4 of which are very high performing, so like 4 are power efficient. So in an idle state, when you're just browsing the internet and other stuff, it will use the efficiency cores, and when you are in a high productive mood, like I am now doing this podcast, you will switch to the high performance cores. Also, the chipset doesn't only include the CPU there, it also includes 8 cores for the GPU. They have brought and says that they have the highest ever GPU core performance, and also the RAM is now embedded directly to the CPU. So it's a sad news for those who really buy a lower variant and later on upgrade it. So if you want later upgrade, you will have to buy a brand new MacBook or the Mac device that you are gonna upgrade. You can't upgrade the RAM because it's directly embedded to the CPU. Undoubtedly, it will be more useful in the task because there will be reduced latency that the CPU will have to send over to the RAM and then get back the data. So it is gonna improve the performance for sure. Also, it includes 16 cores that are just logical cores, which are gonna help great in the AI field. Also, as per the website of Apple, it states that the M1 is gonna boost a core of 3.5 more power. Like it's just 350 times the power that they were getting earlier with the older CPUs, which directly hints that it was Intel, and they are performing much better as per this show. Also, for the TDP, it says that for the 10 watt power that the CPU consumes, it is the best ever in the industry standards and is the highest ever scores and the fastest CPU that you can see at such a low power per watt. Also, it says that it has got the fastest GPU, so like editing and all stuff might be fun. That too, they say that they have 2x than the previous GPU performance that they have. So like next generation of machine learning is now here because they have got 11 trillion operations per second can be done with the 16 core of their neutral engine that they put directly into the single M1 processor. So the processor not just be a single thing, it is more of a CPU plus GPU plus RAM plus logical cores, or say the neutral engine, and more of the transistors that help it transact between them. So that's the complete package that you get in the M1. So it is just the first one, and we can expect more of in the future. The M2 would be much better. It was just the first ever CPUs that Apple made. Apple also claims that for the battery life, it can go very long, starting off like 17 hours on a wireless web browsing and 20 hours on movie playback on the new MacBook Pro 13-inch. And for the MacBook Air, it says 15 hours for the wireless web and 18 hours for the movie playback. And for the Mac Mini, there's no battery, you need to get that plugged in, so that's not a concern here. But the power usage will really be very less for this. They also made the new OS, the Big Sur, and that's rolling out. And that's much faster, that they say that they've optimized that all apps can work with the M1. So now you can get connected via like iPad and all your Mac devices and your iPhone. So it is kind of a more of a into a single system. And also they have put in advanced security options as well on the CPU, and locking the CPU so that you are free and your privacy is really a matter for Apple. So with M1, they're also introducing universal apps that they're gonna use. That's gonna bring much more of like the apps will be available across all the Apple devices, and it would be much better for you to